Mike Briggs is our cattle market analyst this week. U.S. farmers and ranchers churned out a record high amount of both beef and pork in November. Beef production, with one more day in the month than a year ago, was up 16%. Nebraska's output was nearly 11% higher than November 2015 and accounted for a quarter of the country's total. The USDA's December cattle on feed report also showed large increases. While the total feedlot inventory was 1% below December 2015, placements during November were 15% higher and marketings were up 17%. We talked with Mike Wednesday morning and began by discussing the latest cattle on feed numbers.
They were interesting in that we already knew we were going to be kind of short cattle in the first quarter. And it actually showed that there's going to be less cattle here in the first quarter, which bodes well for our market, but more cattle in the summer that I think is going to be a flaming abyss anyway. So you just threw a little more gas on that fire.
What do you think production is going to be like over the first half of this year?
I think we're going to be, it's pretty dry in these feed yards, especially in the south and the southwest. They're getting along really good. So they're having tremendous feedlot performance. You've got a pretty good price. You've got cheap corn, so that's going to encourage people to keep cattle bigger. So I think even though we maybe have less cattle to slaughter, our meat supply is going to stay pretty much even.
What do you think prices have been like here over the last few weeks?
We've had a tremendous rally that was a little bit unexpected, and we've actually been able to leverage some of the margin back away from the retailer and back away from the packer. But yet they're both doing fine. You're starting to see a little bit of profitability return to the feed yard. I think that will continue as we go here. And I think we've got another good 8 weeks in front of us, maybe even more than that. I think maybe possibly all the way into May. After that, all bets are off the table. And I think July, August, and September, they could just be awful.
Just because of the huge supply around that time?
Huge supply of cattle in a time period where beef does not move well. And the thing that bothers me the most, I think there's a real potential to have more cattle to slaughter than we have packing capacity. And that's never a good situation where you've got a commodity that is not storable, because cattle aren't, and you can't get it gone. That could be a real problem for feed yards.
That price for all fresh retail beef in November was the cheapest since June 2014. Is it enticing more buyers to come back?
Absolutely. We've seen tremendous movement here in the last 6 weeks. We're doing really well there. I really wish that the dollar wasn't on fire, but when you're the only good economy in the whole world, that's going to happen. That's going to hurt our exports a little bit, but prices come down so much, we're still doing really well on the export front. So from a demand standpoint, we're doing well.
Tell me more about per head profit margins in the feedlot and for the packer.
Packers are huge. They're still making a lot of money because beef keeps going up every single week. The retailer is the one that's actually getting pinched, but he's just had horrifically large margins, as we've talked for the last year or so. So I don't feel sorry for him. Packer margins are there. I think packer margins are going to tighten up because supply of fat cattle are going to tighten up, and that in turn is going to help margin profitability in the feed yards here for a little bit.
Per head in the feedlot, give me an estimate of what we've seen over the last few weeks.
Well, you know, that's going to be all over the board, because when things were the worst, if you had money left or nerve enough to go buy some really cheap feeders, those cattle are going to do really well. They're going to make six-figure money. They're going to make over $100 a head. If you waited until things kind of got going, because it never seems to take very much to light a fire into the feeder market, but you still should be in that $25 to $50, $60 head range, which is really good profitability. Now, after what we've come through, that's a pretty deep hole, and 40, 50, 60 bucks isn't going to fill it very fast, but it's a heck of a lot better than red numbers.
What's your price forecast look like over the short term?
I really think here in this first quarter of the year, I think we can punch this thing up past 120, maybe 122, maybe 124, provided your demand stays in there. Are we going to have a big fall off in demand after the holidays? I don't know. But if we don't, if demand stays good, and the retailer stays after it, I think we're going to be in pretty good shape. But like we talked a little bit earlier, with the retail margins getting squeezed, they may not feature beef like they've been featuring and start featuring chicken and pork, and that's going to hurt our demand a little.
Yeah, chicken and pork, they're both going to produce a lot, as they have been. Those prices are going to be cheap. How do you compete with those two meats?
That's going to be really difficult, and we're going to compete through oversupply, which we're going to have next summer, and that's how I think that ultimately happens. Is beef is going to go down further once we get into these summer months, and that's how you're going to compete. It's going to be a price war again.
What advice would you give to producers looking at trying to market cattle into this?
You're going to have a tremendous opportunity here to sell some cattle worth the money, sell them, and get some of your deferred stuff locked up, because I know the market's already got a big discount in it. You're sitting up here in the 116 level, kind of sort of with your Feb, and your summer months are already at $1, so they've already discounted it, but I really don't think there's enough discount there. I think it could be worse than that. So if you're buying cattle that have some profitability, I really believe you better take advantage of it, because I really think this summer could just really be tough on us.
Are you acting a specific way with corn?
Corn, I'm not doing a thing. I know some people are worried about South American weather a little bit, being dry in certain parts. I don't think corn's going anywhere. I really, really don't. I think corn is going nowhere. I don't think you have to worry about your corn price for quite a while.